Munatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Rama, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Shiradhe Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Shiradhe Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jai Prabhupada. Jai Paramas Virvajik Charsa Parasat Shilis Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Jai Ananta Kori Vaishnava Ki Jai Sankirtan Yogi Ki Jai Ganta Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, let me just check here. So today we're reading from the fifth canto, 11th chapter, verse 15. 5:11:15. Chapter entitled The Supreme. No, chapter. Chapter entitled Jedbar instructs King Rahugana. Okay. So again, that's Canto 5, Chapter 11, verse 15. Right? Okay. Nayavaritam tanuprin narendra vidyuya mayam vayunodayena vimukta sango jita sat sapatno vedat tatvam brahmati tatatva Nayavaritam tanuprin narendra vidyuya mayam Vayunodayena Vimukta Sangha Jita Satsapatno Vedatmatattvam Brahmati Habtavat Nayavaritam Tanubrin Narendra Viduyamayam Vayunodayena Vimukta jita satsapano Vedatma tattvam pramati haftabad. Synonyms? Synonyms. Word for word translation. Not yavat, as long as, etam, this, tanubrit, one who has accepted a material body. Narendra, O king, vidhuya mayam, washing away the infection accumulated because of contamination by the material world. Vayuna udayena, by awakening of transcendental knowledge, due to good association and study of the Vedic literatures. Vimukta sangha, free from all material association. Jita sat sapatna, conquering the six enemies, the five knowledge acquiring senses and the mind. Knows atma tattvam, spiritual truth. Brahmati, he wanders, iha, in this material world. Tava, until that time. Translation. My dear King Rahugana, as long as the conditioned soul accepts the material body and is not freed from the contamination of material enjoyment, and as long as he does not conquer his six enemies and come to the platform of self-realization by awakening his spiritual knowledge, he has to wander among different places and different species of life in this material world. Okay, purport. Hare Krishna. When one's mind is absorbed in the material conception, he thinks that he belongs to a particular nation, family, country, or creed. These are called upadhis, designations. And one has to become freed from them. Sarvapadi vinirmuktam. As long as one is not freed, he has to continue conditioned life in material existence. The human form of life is meant for cleansing away these misconceptions. If this is not done, one has to repeat the cycle of birth and death, and thus suffer all material conditions. Translation Translation to the verse repeated. My dear King Rahugana, as long as the conditioned soul accepts the material body and is not freed from the contamination of material enjoyment, and as long as he does not conquer his six enemies and come to the platform of self-realization by awakening his spiritual knowledge, he has to wander among different places and different species of life in this material world. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Jadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatan Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Sa Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhi evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasiri Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Ramo Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Araya Krishna Prasad Bhutale. Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve. Gauravani Pacharine. Nirvisesha Shunyabhari. Paschatade Shatarine. Okay. So welcome again to devotees to today's class. I hope everyone had a Krishna conscious weekend. And it's been an eventful week, of course. Coming to the conclusion of our, well, I guess it's already concluded, the um, Gita Fest, also known as the Russian Retreat. So, yeah, okay. My dear King Rahugana, as long as the conditioned soul accepts the material body and is not freed from the contamination of material enjoyment, and as long as he has not conquered his six senses, come to the platform of self-realization by awakening his spiritual knowledge, he has to wander among different places and different species of life in this material world. So it's nice in this purport. It's a nice point here. Srila Prabhupada is saying that the human form of life is meant for cleansing away these misconceptions. So as we know, there are 8,400,000 species of life, and uh, it's said that one takes first birth as Lord Brahma, and then takes birth as then takes a subsequent birth as the smallest uh, uh, living entity, probably some type of single-celled organism, and then subsequently takes birth after birth, going up the chain of the uh, 8,400,000 species. Um, so we can, yeah, we can just, I guess, feel very connected with all the living entities in that way because at one point we were also in that situation. Um, so yeah, but then the human form of life, of course, is the uh, kind of the pinnacle, the apex, uh, because in the human form of life, of course, then one is able to inquire. Yeah, one is able to inquire. So um, different animals have different what you can call yoga siddhis, yogic perfections. So the tiger might or the leopard might be able to run very fast. Um, trying to think of what the fastest bird is. I don't know, but anyways, birds have the mystic power of being able to fly in the sky. Um, whatever gorillas have the yoga city of being very strong. But if you take the human form, if you look at the human being and you compare their abilities to all these other animals, then they don't compare. So I think if the animals could watch these Olympic Games, then they would just be laughing at, you know, how slow even the fastest runners in the human form of life on this earth can run. Or yes, the frogs would just be. It would be a comedy show to see how the measly abilities of humans to jump far or high. So like this. Um, so yeah, animals, according to the particular animal, has abilities much greater than we do, um, in terms of kind of gross functions of, yeah, strength, like that. But of course, the human form of life, then what is our rare feature? Then it's this developed consciousness. So the fact that we can even get together and explore consciousness. So of course they say, okay, the dolphins, whatever, have, yeah, yeah. I mean, don't want to demean the dolphins. Um, yeah, so the dolphins are known for having very high cognitive abilities. Um, uh, I forget what they say. Anyways, they made some discovery of some higher cognitive ability of the what a dolphin or some animal like this. But to get together and mm, kind of question the whole system, contemplate the whole system of, yeah, life in the material world, that's definitely a unique feature of the humans. And how do we know that? Well, even if animals could get together and talk about these things, we don't actually see them renouncing or doing things to conquer the repeated birth and death and ultimately get out of the cycle. In general, I mean, they're very, very rare cases. Like we have a transcendental peacock here, Dudu. He's definitely trying to get out of the material world. And of course, Mars Bharat, when he took the form of a deer, like that. Okay. So there are rare occasions, but very, very rare, super rare occasions. But yeah, so this can be exhibited by the fact that the human beings are living in, or advanced human beings, as the Bhagavad Gita tells us that, yeah, out of Manusyanam Sahasreshu, so out of thousands among men, okay, one may be interested in self-realization. So, but I've heard even, I guess there's been some inflation in dual consciousness, so even that number is decreasing. So now it's more like 1 in 1 million are interested in self-realization. Okay, so yeah, okay. So those rare human beings who do take kind of advantage, um, we can see, yeah, that their desire is conquering this whole system. Therefore, they might perform activities that are actually, uh, how do I say, beneficial, that are, yes, not according to biology, and are actually um, meant for transcending. One example, as we just had a few days ago, Simi, and what do you do on Janmashtami in order to increase your remembrance and involvement in spiritual activities as you fast. So very, yeah, very powerful process. Mm, yeah, as Prabhupada says, that a sign of determination in bhakti is, yeah, is fasting on certain the appearance days of the Lord, the Lord in His incarnation. So animals, yeah, generally you don't see animals doing full day fasts like that. At least I'm not aware of it. Um, but yeah, one who is trying to conquer material birth and death, then okay, then they take on certain practices that are actually contradictory to kind of their biological system. So yeah, we have to ask ourselves, okay, now I've taken this human form of life, so yeah, and I've gained some knowledge. Um, so now what will I do? And yeah, what will be the difference between myself and the animals? So yeah, like I said, the animals just going completely, acting completely in accordance with the laws of nature, with their biological pushings like this. Uh, there's no, there's no, yeah, one cannot observe activities in them which are undertaken in order to conquer, or to escape this cycle of repeated birth and death. So for the human being, yeah, then for the human beings, um, then they are meant for something higher. Uh, yeah, as Lord Bishop Dave said, I think earlier in this verse that uh, the human form of life is not meant for spending time like the dogs stool eating hogs. Instead, one should engage in divine austerity, tapodivyam, in order to attain eternal happiness. Uh, um, Ananta Sukha, I believe it's called in that verse. Yeah, so the human being is meant to engage. So, what is this divine austerity? Well, of course, we know, yeah, austerity, the basic definition of austerity is undertaking voluntary discomfort, um, and yeah, maybe the definition stops there. But we of course know that uh, there's yeah different austerities and different modes of nature, and the best one is of course austerity for uh, spiritual realization, for yeah, advancing our Krishna consciousness. Yeah. So we are meant for um yeah, so ultimately this human form of life is meant for this tapodivyam, divine austerity. Okay. Now one might say, okay, um, okay, so austerity is yeah, voluntarily accepting some inconvenience. Um, so one might say, well, I mean, the question might arise that is is austerity just a part of life? In other words, do the animals also engage in austerity in their animal forms? Um, and one could say, okay, yeah, they are engaged in some sort of austerity, um, like, you know, in order to protect like the other day I was trying to take a picture of a baby peacock, and the mother was messing up my shot, you know? She kept coming in between um, the camera and this baby peacock. And it was amazing, yeah. Of course, I wasn't like trying to, pull out the old football moves, but at the same time, I was making some considerable effort. And the mom was, no, you're not gonna, get between me and, little, uh, little Joe here. So I think this is austerity. This is she's taking on some type of voluntary discomfort. Uh, so in human beings, okay, um, yeah, one might, if one is dedicated to get a new job, or I really want to do do well in my school, I really want to succeed and, yeah, get a good grade in class, then okay, one has to undergo some austerities. In other words, one has to push oneself beyond what might be comfortable in order to uh, succeed, in order to achieve something desirable. um, so yeah, so some austerity is there. Of course, yeah, maybe this isn't even the like a full proper definition of austerity, because of course in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying that, one shouldn't give this message to those who are not austere. So okay, maybe there's a more refined definition of austerity, meaning which um, yeah, is more kind of transcendental in nature. But I'm trying to paint the picture that, yeah, some voluntary discomfort is there for in any species of life. Um, so now it comes to, okay, now tapo divyam. Now one is supposed to be and by which one will attain, uh, yeah, eternal eternal happiness. So what is this austerity? Um, um, well, yeah, as I just one example, of course, is fasting on these different days. So that's yeah, don't need to elucidate the discomfort there. It's obvious if one does it, then yeah, it's obviously a discomforting situation. Um, like that. Um, and of course, we know this word sacrifice is yagya is is a, yeah, common terms of performing yoga, bhakti yoga, karma yoga, like this. Um, Krishna saying himself that, yeah, all activities, yajna kamanam nyatara, all activities, all the sacrifices you should do should be done for me, or else, yeah, or else, uh, one will just be bound to the material world. So sacrifice, that's also, um, I guess, can be synonymous with this idea of austerity. So sacrifice, yeah, one gives, one sacrifices. So uh, one can give, yeah, some type of donation. Um, one can donate one's time. One can donate one's intelligence. One can donate one's, yeah, general abilities. like this. So in this way, yeah, these are different sacrifices one can perform. Um, so yeah, ultimately this is what is yeah, this is what life is meant for ultimately. Well, I'm trying to think of an example of this, and like I said, Krishna is saying there that yeah, one shouldn't tell this Bhagavad Gita to one who's not austere. Um, Material was not free from the contamination of material enjoyment as long as he does not conquer his six enemies and come to the platform of self-realization. By awakening his spiritual knowledge, he has to wander among the different places, different species of life in this material world. So ultimately, yeah, austerity should l- lead in this way, should lead us to these goals that being free from the contamination. Yeah. Um, so how can our austerities get us free from the contamination of material enjoyment? Um, well, of course, we know that the being conditioned is a um, like an active, like yeah, it's an active word. So the act of being conditioned, um, there's a certain amount of time and exposure which leads to that. So we can yeah. So if you put yourself in a certain condition, in a certain environment, then you become conditioned, and also similarly, you can uncondition yourself. So so to uncondition ourselves, then that means uh, taking ourselves away from certain situations or certain mindsets that are, yeah, imposing their um, influence on us. So this is how one frees one from that conditioning. So this is actually an austerity, is to remove oneself from uh, from going to condition one to what? To thinking that one to thinking that one is the ultimate enjoyer, like this. So yeah, for example, to go to a mall, to go to a mall. Generally, what do you see in the mall? Billboards of, you know, beautiful looking people, um, the aromas of, you know, local the the place in the food court, or people are coming up to you, hey, try this. This is a sample. You know, so the whole environment is meant for is like trying to make you be the enjoyer. How? Because okay, you're seeing pictures of people enjoying, and then they have products of their enjoyment, and now you're being invited. Yes, please purchase these products, because by doing so, then you will also become, you know, this glorified personality. And maybe if you do enough austerity in that way, you'll also be deified in the mall, on a mall poster. So like this. Um, so this is taking ourselves from these certain states that will actually condition us. Then he does not conquer his six enemies and come to the platform of self-realization. Yeah. So the six enemies. So I believe that's talking about the working senses. So the tongue, the eyes, the sense of touch, the sense of smell. Um, yeah, the seeing, the hearing, seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, feeling. Did I already say feeling? Maybe I'm missing one there. Yeah. So these are the senses that one. So okay. So we're being invited in this verse. Okay, you have to actually conquer these things. So, yeah, we know there's this nice picture in the Bhagavad Gita where there's the horses. Uh, yeah, the horses are these different senses, and oh, the mind. Okay, I think the mind is the last one. And these senses, I think there's five horses, um, are there, and they're pulling one here and there. So yeah, this is how it is. We're ultimately being pulled here and there. It's one nice verse Lord Chaitanya says, well, nice, it's a little confronting, but nice in the ultimate sense. It's saying that Lord Chaitanya is saying, one who runs here and there seeking to gratify his belly can never know Krishna. Okay. So, yeah, so the senses are pulling us, right? Um, um, yeah, what's the reason anyone does anything in any materialist does anything? It's because yeah, they're pulled by these desires. Okay, have to go to work because I have to make money because I have to, uh, you know, have to enjoy like this. I have to make more money in order to have more palatable foods or get a nicer car in order to, uh, whatever, attract the opposite sex so that the touch can be satisfied. Or the the sixth sense, the mind is also wanting to be gratified by yeah these subtle sense of gratification, prestige, honor, like this. So this is these things. So this yeah. So the six senses ultimately pulling one here and there to do everything. But now we're hearing here. One has to actually conquer these things and come to the platform of self-realization by a way of spiritual knowledge. So how does one conquer these things? Well, as we hear uh, uh, that, yeah, Srila Prabhupada says that the tongue, we should do two things with the tongue. The tongue can vibrate, therefore, we should do two things with it. Vibrate spiritual subject matter and take Krishna Prasadam. And as we hear in this Sadila Vidyaja, this prayer that we do before Prasadam, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, yes, this senses are, are very, yeah, the senses are very formidable, and of the senses, the strongest one is the tongue. But Krishna is so wonderful that you have given us this prasadam. By taking this prasadam, then one can conquer, actually, yeah, conquer over the tongue. So that's pretty nice deal, right? By taking Krishna prasadam, uh, ultimately, yeah, this purification will come. Um, the purification of the eyes, yeah, this happens by well, seeing the deities. So it's very interesting because uh, what we're seeing here the touch. How does one engage the touch? Well, um, saying says that one should touch touch the bodies of the devotees. Yeah, coming in contact with the devotees, embracing the devotees like this. Of course, probably, you know, shouldn't hug the opposite sex unless they're their wife or family member. But yeah, um, so yeah, purifying the touch. So our process, Krishna conscious, is not it's not just this process of negate, negate, negate. Um, no, our process is positive, positive engagement, and by this positive engagement, then what happens? Then the purification comes. Then the senses become purified, as it's said in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Tasi Krishna Namari Nam Bhavet Gurayam Indriyai Sevan Mukha Jevara Swam Eva Spradida. So Rupa Goswami is saying there that, yeah, with the blunt senses, one cannot perceive the transcendental name, form, qualities, pastimes of the Lord. But when one's senses become saturated with spiritual stimulation, starting with the tongue, then one can perceive these things. So it's very nice, and it's very, how do I say, it's very, very promising. It's very promising because one might read this verse out of context and say, "Oh my God, I just have to go in a corner and not see, not sleep, or sorry, not well, yeah, not sleep also, but not see anything, not taste anything, not touch anything. You know, I have to control these things." Um, but actually, um, for the devotees, yeah, our process is actually engaging our senses, but in a spiritual way. So we just visited the an Amish farm recently, and some of the devotees were commenting that, yeah, they seem a little bit bored, and one very I say yeah, eclectic brahmachari that we brought, he 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 did a little show for them. They gave us some little mini cantaloupes, and he got them, and he, you know, out of gratitude for them giving us these cantaloupes, he decided to give them a little show and was juggling them in front of them. And I guess they've never seen juggling because they were just they were amazed. You know, if they weren't already standing, they definitely would have given a standing ovation after. And they were like, "Oh no, I wish the kids were here to see this." You know, in other words, this is like, yeah, this was this was the most entertaining thing they'd seen, uh, maybe in many lifetimes as an Amish person. So the devotees were commenting, yeah, they seem a bit bored, you know? And and well, if you look at their lifestyle, I mean, it's a lot of work, and like what we asked them before, we asked a different tour we went on. We're asking, so what do you guys like do for fun? And he was saying, well, we work 12 to 14 hours a day. In other words, we don't really have, yeah, they don't really have time for fun. Of course, they have one day off, and they do have some like sporting games they play, but um, 12 to 14 hours, yeah, yeah, not too much room for fun. Of course, their lives are, in a sense, they're doing farming work is quite pleasurable and quite fun also. But nonetheless, the devotees were making the comment that, yeah, they seemed a bit bored. Um, so our our Krishna conscious process is very wonderful because we engage the senses in kind of so many variegated ways, right? Seeing the deities, listening to kirtan, um, yeah, uh, touching the form of the Lord, or you know, touching the form of the devotees, tasting Krishna prasadam, um, absorbing the mind and thoughts of Krishna and thoughts of how to glorify the Lord. So in this way, and then what happens then, like this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu verse said, by saturating our senses in that way, then one actually gets real. Then one actually, yeah, gets realization. And how is one able to conquer the senses? Well, as we hear in the Bhagavad Gita, um, the senses, the taste for the sense objects remains, but by experiencing a higher taste, one is fixed in consciousness. So when one is engaged in superior engagement, then the desire for inferior engagement, where is it? It's not there anymore, right? Like we as adults aren't playing with toys anymore, um, because now we have some, yeah, we got some superior pleasure. Um, and similarly, when the devotee sees the engagements of the materialists, yeah, they think, wow, this is not, this is not where it's at because I've experienced something higher. So yeah, so this is how one can conquer these six senses. Um, and so and this is, yeah, this ultimately the tapo divyam, uh, is putting ourselves in these situations. And like I was saying, the tapo, the austerity is there either way, in the material world, in the spiritual world, or sorry, yeah, for materialistic endeavors, the austerity is there. So why not engage that same propensity in spiritual activities? So yeah, if we all have to be working, right? You have to work to maintain the body. So now you have a chance, okay, effort, but the same enthusiasm, um, uh, with the aim directed towards Krishna. Okay, so Hare Krishna, I think I've kind of reached the yeah, kind of, I guess, tried to take us through the process of how this all kind of works, uh, i- in terms of how, yeah, this is done in a Krishna conscious process. So, if any, for a few minutes, any questions, feel free to do so now. Not sure. Bhakti or okay, this Sarvapati Vinayam. Bhakti or devotional service means engaging all our senses in the service of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Master of all the senses. When the spirit soul renders service unto the Supreme, there are two side effects. One is freed from all material designations, and one's senses are purified simply by being employed in the service of the Lord. There you go. Two things happen. One is freed from all material designations, and one's senses are purified by being employed in the service of the Lord. Great. Thank you, Tarka Prabhu, for sharing that.
Dasya-Prema got a comment in the chat.
Sorry, let me turn up the volume here. Sorry, Prabhu, what was that?
Dasya-Prema's got a comment in the chat.
Oh, yeah. Great. Yes, I did, Prabhu, saying great point about how we become unconditioned by removing ourselves from the circumstances which cause that conditioning. That's why the ashram experience is so valuable. Thank you for setting that example. Yeah. Yeah. The one did that Bhakti program in Mayapur, and um, he said, I became so busy in engaging in like service, just doing this and that in classes. He said, I forgot what my own name was. So I think, yeah, I think he said that, yeah. Forgot what his own name was because he became so absorbed in Krishna conscious activities. So why not? Why not forget what our name is? Because anyways, hopefully we're going to get a different name anyways. And this is the point, is to, yeah, forget these conditionings. Um, yeah. Okay, so thank you all very much. I'll set up the camera now. Class, thank you for tolerating. I didn't realize, yeah, so many senior devotees on the call. Please forgive me, everyone, if I said anything improper. Hope something was gotten from this class. Yes, thank you very much. Shri ki jai, Grantat, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Govardhan ki jai. Vrajami Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Dhamanapur Dham ki jai. Purushottama Kshetra Jagannath Dham ki jai. Shri Vidyanam Dham jai. Ganga Devi ki jai. Jamuna Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Dasmaharana ki jai. Samadeka Gaura Bhakti Devi ki jai. Kilam Hari Krishna Chaitanya ki jai. Shri Prabhupada Chansana Bhakti Solution ki jai. Chansana Gosu ki jai. Gita Fest 2023 ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Damodar Sakadi Nita Gurusundar Nita Gaura Premanande all glories to the assembled devotee. All glories to the assembled. All to the assembled devotee. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Govinda. All glories to Shri Prabhupada. Glory to the third master. Glory to the same pure devotion of service. That after glory to the great honor. Let us praise one to God, the chill that pain and mercy. Now we will have a purified word to the Tap into those deep and life and go home. Go with my Lord, those my friends in the small. Make my Lord burn out the burden from him that and humility. I am ignorant of the truth. Lady, please pray. Please not to me. Burn with me. Lord, I'm please listen to us. Here's the daily will. Please pray that all of us. Jagat Guru Jagat